Welcome to Touching Base, the podcast designed to give strategic insights in a laid-back format. At Klein, we use primary research quite a bit, so today I'm going to turn that methodology back on us and interview some of our experts. I'm your host, Josh Molinax, and I've got Karen Doskow here on the line. Karen, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Josh. Thanks.
You're welcome. Well, first and foremost, Karen, today here you wanted to talk about home fragrances, and I'm pretty excited to do that as well. I've got a candle here on my desk, Bath and Body Works. But what I wanted to talk about here was really what led you into home fragrances. How long have you been in the industry for?
Oh my God, probably before you were born. Just joking. Actually, not joking. 30 years.
Okay.
My interest in home fragrance started when I was a product manager at Avon a long time ago. And we created a lot of novelty candles with matching soaps, and I loved it. I loved, looking at different colors and different patterns and working with perfumers. And so I would say that I've really been involved in the home fragrance world for 30 years.
Wow. 30 years is impressive, especially given that you're only 25 years old. Well, Karen, what I'm interested in is, you've been in this industry for, quite a while. What kept you interested in home fragrances as a market, as opposed to, the lipsticks and, the other like things that you study, what made home fragrances so interesting to you?
Well, I mean, I don't want to negate, beauty products, because that's something that I'm always, interested in. But home fragrance, I mean, especially now, I mean, I don't want to preempt any of your questions, but the world of home fragrance has just come alive during these pandemic times. I mean, there's so many new people that for the first time are discovering candles and the power of scent and light. And I mean, those are things that I've always loved. I like also the decor part of the business and finding new vessels to put wax candles in, or ways to diffuse. So while I haven't been sitting on the creative side of the business for quite some time, just researching it and keeping up with people that I've known for a long time, from Bath and Body Works and Harry Slatkin from Scentworks and Homeworks, and people that I've known for a long time. That's kind of what has always been delightful for me.
That's awesome. And I hear you mention like specific names of these people who you've worked with for quite a while. Is the home fragrance like market, I mean, is it pretty tight knit? Like, do you see a lot of the same names?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there's people that are involved. There's different, that's quite a question. I would say the luxury and boutique end of it are probably a lot of the same players that, have been around for a long time. The mass end of it, it has been governed more by large companies like Procter and Gamble with Febreze and SEJ with Glade, and so those people tend to go from business to business. But the people that have been involved in the luxury market and specialty market have been around, not really quite for 30 years, although there's some like Harry and Laura Slatkin who have been involved in the industry for a very, very long time, in much different ways than I have. So, and thank God they're still trailblazers.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what do you think it is about the luxury brands that really keep people in for so long as opposed to mass?
Well, I mean, I think the mass brands also, I don't want to diminish the mass brands. There's a lot of competition in the stores for consumers' attention, but I will say that I think mass brands are enjoying a nice rebirth during pandemic times, because outlets that carry these products like Target and Walmart have been open. They were deemed essential outlets. And so the consumption in mass outlets has gone, I don't want to call it through the roof, but it's been very, very impressive. But what keeps people drawn to the higher end candles like Prestige? I think it's the scent and the scent arrays and the quality. But I would not like, again, and then you have right in the middle Bath and Body Works,
Hmm.
which I wouldn't call luxury, but I certainly would not call it mass. I would probably call it prestige. And again, a different consumer, and they offer a lot of variety. Excuse me.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, that's certainly interesting. I think that earlier you made a comment about various vessels, like where these candles and these scents are kind of coming into play. Is there a specific way that you really like to receive these scents? Is it specifically candles? Is it room sprays? What's your favorite way to interact with these fragrances?
That's a cool question. Probably candles because I like to light candles in the morning in my kitchen. I really like walking into a room with like a bright, lively fragrance. It really depends for me personally on the room. So for the powder rooms, I might have reed diffusers. Whereas in like the living room or the den, I would have a candle. So for me, it really depends on what room I'm trying to, want to scent.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting. I never would have thought of it based on room, but that I guess that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But let's put yourself back 30 years ago, back when you were young, back when you probably didn't even have to worry about what room you were scenting because you were probably in a one-room apartment. As
Yeah,
you were new
that's
into
true.
this, if that idea of being new in the industry, what would you tell someone today who's brand new into the home fragrance industry in times of COVID? They've got tons of questions, they're trying to learn the market. What would you tell them?
Oh boy. I mean, there's so much to tell them. I would say definitely lead with fragrance. That, the fragrance is an important part of um, the entire offering. I would tell them to look for new ways to reach consumers, that digital platforms are going to be more important than ever. Um, I would, know which consumer you want to reach. Who is your consumer target? Is
Okay.
it a younger one? Is a new one? So, that might have play a role in your price point offering.
So would you say that it's important to start with who you're even talking to before you
Yes,
start with the product?
yes. Yes. I think you're absolutely right. Is have a strategy,
Hmm.
know what the competition is, or know who the competition is in the certain areas that we talked about, whether it be in, a Walmart or a Target or a specialty store or department store or online, and find out where you think the opportunities lie, and who the consumer for that opportunity, would be.
Sure. I mean, that makes absolute sense. And as you're looking for those specific consumers for whatever it is your opportunity is, you kind of have to take into account, what's happening in the market as well. And I think that, no one really saw COVID coming, and it's led to businesses doing things that, they've never had to do.
Yeah.
As you've studied home fragrances, has there ever been a time where you've seen just a big, maybe tragedy or maybe just something that's caused this much disruption? And what kind of happened with that?
No, I haven't. I really and truly have not. I mean, I've seen lots of different trends like aromatherapy and the focus on giftables and home decor, but I've never seen a pandemic that, I mean, I would say this category is really, for the most part, going to come out of this, not shining or glowing, but like really, it's certainly going to give a boost to the home fragrance business as I see it.
Well, that's exciting. Why
I
why do
know.
you think that it's going to be giving these companies a boost?
Well, because I think people are at home more, and I think that's going to be, I think people will into the future be working from home more and will be enjoying and wanting to have fragrance and finding it comforting. So even, when they do find a vaccine for this, I still think that there's certain behaviors that will continue. And I think lighting a candle or plugging in a diffuser or, I think that those behaviors will go on.
Yeah, I completely agree. Do you have one lit right now?
That's a really interesting question. I was thinking of before we got on this call to light one. I have one that I absolutely love this candle. I just got it. I didn't even know that apparently Illume is producing for Magnolia Home, which is
Okay.
Chip and Joanna Gaines. And this candle fragrance is called Restore, which is so perfect for this
Hmm.
time. And it's a floral, but it's a fruity floral, and it is the most beautiful thing. I mean, it's just I have my favorites. I'm not going to lie. I have certain scents that I like to burn, but this was a new discovery for me. My local gift store sells this, and I got curbside pickup on it. And I bought a smaller one that my daughter lit, and it is just absolutely beautiful. It really was surprising.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you send me a link for that at some point. Uh,
Okay.
but you actually bring up an interesting point there. You know, you're still using your local stores, which I think is great. Do you think the way that people are buying candles and, fragrances overall is going to be changing?
Good question. Really good question. I don't know. I can't really I mean, I do think that there's going to be much higher traffic through e-commerce, but I really don't know. I really don't know. I think that there'll be a pickup on QVC. I
Hmm.
think that I think people probably will want to go to smaller stores. I mean, hopefully after this is all over and by the time we reopen, I'm in New Jersey and things are still pretty shut down, the store owners will be able to, stay afloat. But honestly, Josh, I can't really say where people are going to be going for candles. Probably to a few different places, but the one thing I can tell you is that I definitely see e-commerce playing a very strong role, much strong. I mean, e-commerce was already pretty strong for many of these candle brands or brands that had candles, but I see it even stronger after this.
Okay. Well, I know that a lot of indies are, using independent companies and smaller companies are using the internet as a way to reach more people. Are you seeing any companies right now that are doing like interesting marketing techniques or have good messaging right now? Just something that's really resonating with you.
Oh my God, yesterday night I was invited to be at I'm looking to see what they called it. It was a virtual, oh gosh, I can't find it. It was for Party Light. And I was invited to be part of the virtual summer bash, I think they called it. And there were 1,000 people that attended this
What?
virtual Zoom. I think it was Zoom. No, it wasn't Zoom. It was something else. And it was absolutely fascinated. The regional manager was there, and they were talking about home decor, and they were talking about fragrances, and then they showed some non-alcoholic or alcoholic beverage recipes that married with the fragrance scent. And I thought, well, this is so cool. There's 1,000 people that signed up to hear what they had to say. So that to me was one of the more interesting things that, and then I love this. And then last week, Harry Slacken did a virtual segment with QVC, which he's on with one of his brands, and it was just cool. You had the hostess, I think her name was Allie, talking about things, and then they had Harry on one side of the screen from working, talking remotely. So I thought that was, very clever and very entertaining. I think entertainment is key, not only when it comes to candles, but when it comes to a lot of this e-com stuff. Is people want to be educated, but they also want to be entertained.
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely makes sense. And what an event. I wish that I would have known about it. That sounds super cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, cool. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me today. I mean, it sounds like things are really going well in the home fragrance industry. But let's end on a really positive note here. What's the thing that you're most excited about, like during and then coming out of this post-COVID world? What are some things that you're looking out for in home fragrances?
Well, it will be, I mean, I'm excited that, something really tragic has lit up this home fragrance market, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that candles can be comforting to people. I mean, I've known that for years, but I'm glad that there's new discoveries and people enjoying them and exploring. I'm delighted about that. So that will be exciting. It'll be exciting to see how this all, we have reports on this, obviously, how this affects sales. And what was the what was the question?
Just something that you're excited about in the home fragrance market overall.
I'm excited to see what the future holds. Like, I'm also excited to see the role that technology will play moving forward in some of the new diffuser products that that home fragrance marketers are going to put forward. So innovation is always something that's interesting to see.
How are they innovating diffusers? That's interesting.
Well, I mean, there's different ways to plug in or reads, or you'll have to read the report.
I guess I will. Well, Karen, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today. I really appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, Karen, where can they reach you?
They can reach you. Like, let them call you. If they have any questions, they can contact Josh.
Okay.
And chat with him. And if the two of, if you want to kind of loop me in, I'd be more than happy to talk about the report and how I view the home fragrance market.
All right. Well, Karen, again, thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to connecting with you guys in 2 weeks on another topic. Thank you so much and have a nice day.